poetry lovers, welcome to our YouTube channel, One Stop All Poetry Solution. Today in this video we are going to talk about Mary Botham Howitt's The Spider and the Fly. But before we head into the poem, haven't we ever experienced that not easily explained, a tingling, stay safe warning sensation? Oh yes, I am sure if you think a little harder, you will be able to recount quite a number of such instances. Do you know what it is called? It is called the spider sense. And interestingly, in this poem, we will learn a moral lesson. That is, how one should listen to his or her spider sense. By the end of the poem, I am sure that you too will feel if only the fly would have kept listening to her spider sense. Now, this poem, written in the 19th century, is a cautionary fable falling under the genre or the category of dark humor. Now, what is dark humor? It is also known as black comedy or gallows humor. It is a style of comedy that aims at making a subject matter generally considered a taboo or serious or painful to discuss in a light manner. Now, how does this cautionary fable play an important role in this poem? Now, following the characteristic of the fables, it uses in this poem anthropomorphism, anthropomorphism. It uses anthropomorphism. So, in other words, we can tell that it endows a non-human character with the human traits and behavior. For instance, you will find in the poem the spider's web described as with the features of human house. In other words, these human touches act as metaphors, giving the poem an absurd relatability. Among the other figures of speech in this poem, we have repetition, like you will find in the first three stanzas, the fly constantly talking about, oh no, no, then come hither, hither, pretty fly. Then there is mention of consonants. 'Tis the prettiest little parlor, the repetition of the T sound. Euphemism. Now, euphemism is conveying or trying to talk or using of the polite words. Like here, you will see the mention of pretty curtains, fine and thin feathers, not feathers exactly, the wings of the fly, then the curtains, the bed sheets, all these have been compared or spoken about in a tone of euphemism. euphemism, euphemism. Now, before I start with the poem, I would like to discuss with you the theme. Human beings are born with some weaknesses of the mind. The weakness to flattery is one of them. Even very erudite and sagacious people, means who are very educated and well aware, their sixth sense works a lot, people make fatal mistakes in their judgments due to this weakness. As a result, they come to grief and realize how they have been tricked. But by then, the damage would have been done. And sages and saints in all ages and all lands have cautioned their followers to be wary, to be careful of these flatterers. Here, the spider was an ace flatterer, a master in this art of flattery. The fly was naive and gullible, means innocent and stupid, N-A-I-V-E, naive and gullible. The spider charmed the fly with its welcoming and warm words. The fly finally fell to the spider's trickery and ended up in the latter's stomach as dinner or whatever, the food. The tragedy holds very valuable lessons for all of us, as the poet or the poetess herself compares or conveys it to us. Courtiers, lovers, favor seekers, con men, so on, lavish praise on their prey with great finesse, means with great craft, and then achieve their wicked objectives. The poem illustrates the dangers of lowering one's guards against undeserved praise and unsolicited goodwill. No doubt, the poem teaches us a very valuable lessons. These very valuable lessons of life. One must be careful of people who show unexplained warmth and shower effusive praise. So we should realize that we do not deserve all that praise, and when someone is doing that out of their way, it is something that we should be cautioned against. We should be aware of all those things, because nothing in life comes without a motive or intention. There must be some reason behind it. So that is it about when I say that is it about the talking of the background of the poem. Now we will head straight into the poem with the proper explanation of the lines and everything. Here, one thing interestingly you will notice is that the spider is mentioned as he, and the fly is mentioned as she. Now you may say that it is the men who try to lure women, and women easily fall into that trap. But it is generally not the case. I do not wish to generalize. It can be the other way around also, because there have been many instances. If you open the news channels and read newspapers, you will see in great detail. You will see that there have been numerous instances where women have been known to lure men, and men have been equally into the trap. So it can be the case with either of them. So here the main concept is not the gender. It is this poem had no intention of bringing up the problems or the issues of gender here. The main issue is to be cautioned against the people who have evil motives. So like my other poems where there has been elongated elaboration and detailed explanation, this poem will also be in two parts. So before I head on to the second part, I will call it a pause in the first video, and then I'll send the link and upload the link in the descriptive section. Please make sure that you watch the video, the first part of the video, before you move on to the second part. And before you move on to the second part, please hit the like button so that the video gains more of popularity, and I'm able to reach out to the wider people once you start sharing these videos to earn more subscriptions. And as I tell in all my videos, that I'm willing to share with you a surprise that I've been planning for a long time. Once the subscription reaches the 100 mark, please do help me reach it soon. So without much ado, let's start with the poem. "Will you walk into my parlor?" said the spider to the fly. "'Tis the prettiest little parlor that ever you did spy. The way into my parlor is up a winding stair, and I've many curious things to shew when you are there." So the spider, with a masterful use of language, presents the offer of walking into the parlor in the most innocuous manner. "'Tis the prettiest little parlor that ever you did." So prettiest little parlor, by the usage of this phrase, he is enticing the details. He is providing enticing details to lure the fly. Spy, the usage of the word spy is important here, because it can mean visited as well as hinting at watching secretly. Because with a highly euphemistic tone, the spider uses the word parlor to replace the word web. With the usage of the spy, he is trying to send the message how close the fly is, how dear the fly is to his heart. "The way into my parlor is up a winding stair." So winding here hints at the ulterior motive of the spider. "And I have many curious things to shew when you are there." So in these two lines, "the way into my parlor up the winding stair" and "I have many curious things to shew," the spider is trying to play down the fear of the fly, showing play down the fear of the fly that one should feel about his lair, his secret place. Shew here means show or hidden. Adding of these mysterious and wonderful facts about his abode, he tries to arouse or pick the fly's curiosity. "Oh, no, no," said the little fly. "To ask me is useless, is in vain, for who goes up your winding stair can ne'er come down." So we, the readers, are relieved as the fly sees through the spider's deviousness, his devious motives. She realizes and knows that accepting the spider's invitation means being devoured by him. I'm sure you must be weary, dear, with soaring up so high. Will you rest upon my little bed? Said the spider to the fly. So here in this stanza, posing as a sympathizer, the spider now feigns concern. He tries a different tactic, pretending to fret over how tired the fly must be. He goes to the extent of requesting the fly personally. So here in this question, the spider is requesting the fly personally. Now we will move on to the next part. There are pretty curtains drawn around, the sheets are fine and thin, and if you like to rest a while, I'll snugly tuck you in. So fine and thin, the fine silk of cobweb that can put the fly to permanent slumber. So every word that the spider utters, there is a double meaning. So he is describing in very interesting and very fascinating way so that he can lure the fly. In these two lines, that is the pretty curtains drawn around the sheets are fine and thin, and if you like to rest a while, I'll snugly, that is comfortably tuck you in. In these two lines, not only they are caring and congenial, though they are pretentious, but also malicious and foreboding. So we can understand carefully what the spider is trying to hint at. Oh no, no, said the little fly, for I've often heard it said. So here the refrain is repeated here. Oh no, no, said the little fly, for I've often heard it said, they never, never wake again who sleep upon your bed. Here too, like the previous stanza, the fly refuses to walk into the parlor, and the bed represents certain death for the fly, and she knows it. So she refuses it once again. Now the next part. Said the cunning spider to the fly, dear friend, what can I do to prove the warm affection I've always felt for you? So in these lines, the third stanza, in these lines we notice a note of exasperation in the spider's tone. He is getting irritated, but he is willing to keep up this tone of his truth or honesty that he is posing as. To prove that, he keeps on asking questions. He tries to make the fly feel guilty for not accepting his many gestures of friendship. One thing, dear readers, you will notice in this poem is that this entire poem is written in a dialogue. It is the dialogue between the fly and the spider. But interestingly, it is not very difficult. And Mary Botham Howitt had written with the intention for her little readers, and she had also titled this poem. If you see this page I have mentioned, she has in fact titled this poem as subtitled this poem in fact as a cute version of the scary story. So this is actually to drive in the message of the evil people, the motives of evil people, not that everyone around the world are good with their good intentions. So that is the main idea that she is trying to convey, and the inner meanings are there. The tone of dark humor, the serious messages of evil, death, then the traps, how cruel the world is or how cruel the real world may be at times. For these messages are conveyed in this poem in a very light-hearted tone, and that is why this poem falls under the category of dark humor. Let's move on. I have within my pantry good store of all that's nice. I'm sure you are very welcome. Will you please take a slice? So what is the spider telling? He's talking about his good share. So here there can be two meanings: trying to lure the fly that really good things exist in his pantry, and the second is the evil motive, where we only hope that the fly sees through this deception. So the fly must realize that what is the good store he is talking about. Maybe he is trying to tell that yes, there are truly good things, but the fly should see that the spider can really have no good intentions. Slice here refers to the share. Again, in these lines, the fly is telling, "Oh, no, no," said the little fly, "kind sir, what cannot be? That cannot be." Why that cannot be, we will see. In these lines, the fly replies daintily to the spider's dear friend. So, with the words "dear friend," that is how he is addressing the fly. And it is really commendable how the fly fights politeness with politeness. She is also keeping up with the temper of the spider. She is not budging in a bit. And straight away, she starts to talk about, she tries to answer in an equally polite way. Probably will she be paid for her politeness, for her tenacity? That is something that we are yet to see. "I have heard what is in your pantry, and I do not wish to see." The fly is not interested in knowing what is in the spider's pantry because she is aware of his past victims. "Sweet creatures," said the spider, "you are witty and you are wise. How handsome are your gauzy wings! How brilliant are your eyes! I have a little looking glass upon my parlor shelf. If you will step in one moment, dear, you shall behold yourself." So the spider now tries a different tactic. What does he do? The spider keeps on complimenting the fly on her intellect, her fine and transparent wings and her attractive eyes, to get the best of her vanity, because he feels and he knows that the fly is bound to give in, to submit to all these vanity. So he keeps on praising, "Your gauzy wings, your transparent wings are brilliant, your eyes are brilliant," and all these things. And what does again he tell? That you should come to my parlor because I have a looking glass, and you must come and admire yourself. "If you will step in one moment, dear, you shall behold yourself." In these lines, unlike the previous stanzas, the temptation takes the form of suggestions. So there is a slight change in tone which we, the readers, should not miss. This well-placed compliment could have lulled her into a false sense of security. Yes, that is very true. If someone praises you or praises me, at first I am bound to soften, but that is the time when we should not let down our guards. He walks craftily towards that direction. Now I will head on to the second video, because in the next part we will complete the poem and more or less give a brief summary so that it becomes easier for you to remember. The link to the second video is in the descriptive section.